All over the world for many years, people have been claiming to themselves be the second coming, the Messiah, or just the reincarnation of Jesus Christ. Certainly they can't all be, right? Today we are diving into just a few of these instances as we cover the top 10 bizarre people throughout history who claimed to be Jesus. Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have Jim Jones. Jim is certainly one of the most well-known people on this list for all of the wrong reasons. He is the man who claimed that he was the reincarnation of Jesus, Buddha, and Gandhi, and he founded the cult which was originally called Wings of Deliverance, but he later changed the name to the People's Temple Full Gospel Church. After an expose in the New West magazine about the things going on in this cult, he ended up moving the group from the United States to Guyana. From here there were claims of horrible things and many human rights violations which led to an investigation. People found out that some of the supposed members of this cult were actually being held against their will. In the end, with all of this going on, Jim managed to convince his followers to all take their lives in one massive, horrible event, and this day has gone on to become known as the Jonestown Massacre. A total of 918 people died that day, including Jim himself. In our number 9 spot today, we have Alan John Miller. Alan is an ex-software manufacturer turned founder of the Jesus cult. Alan himself claims that he is actually the reincarnation of Jesus and his partner is the reincarnation of Saint Mary Magdalene. Thank goodness these two were able to find each other in this life, I guess. Alan holds, quote, divine truth seminars where he teaches what he refers to as the divine love path, which focuses mainly on emotional clearing, whatever that is. Alan has even gone as far as to give doomsday predictions, which he said could start as early as 2012, which, I mean, 10 years later, we all know that simply did not happen. Alan believes that the movement of tectonic plates will cause severe earth changes and they will result in a dramatic rise of the oceans. Apparently on his website he said, quote, both the east and west coasts of Australia will be underwater about 100 meters deep. In our number 8 spot today we have Michael Travesser, also known as Wayne Bent, a completely different name. This guy was the leader of what is called as the Lord Our Righteousness Church in New Mexico. In 2000 he claimed that he himself was the Messiah. He predicted that the world would end in 2007, another doomsday predictor. Again, I can confirm that was not true, it did not happen, and he stated that God had said to, quote, stay with me one more year, but a year later he was arrested for some of the most horrific crimes that I cannot even mention here on YouTube, so I might give you an inkling into what they are. Not only this, but he also admitted and acknowledged doing similar crimes before in the past, like it was just no big deal, no worries. He went on to compare himself to Jesus Christ and he told the media, quote, the current upheaval over me and the present contest is well underway. It was the same for Jesus. Jesus had not committed any crimes, so the authorities had to invent some crimes to crucify him over. It is the same for me also. I have committed no crimes, but many crimes are being imagined and concocted in the minds of men to try and kill me again. In our number 7 spot today we have Bupete Chibwe Chishimba. Back in 2013, Bupete, who's from the copper mining city of Kitwe, Zambia, began claiming that he was Jesus Christ and the others in the city did not like this. He was criticized, harmed, and people even called for him to be crucified so that he could prove his claims. He claimed that in 1999 he fell from heaven and since then his sole purpose has been to initiate the judgment for mankind as well as to end political rule. His claims only got more grand as he says he can heal the sick, and he even went as far as to denounce other leaders in the church for saying that Jesus was coming. He called it deception and said that Jesus is already here. Apparently now he can be found driving a taxi that has the words Lord of Lords on it, which I would have thought is like a Game of Thrones reference or something, but apparently not. It is even said that he now claims not to just be Jesus, but now he is actually superior to Jesus and is ahead of him in the hierarchy of heaven. It's probably gotta be a sin somewhere, right? Anyways, apparently he just roams around spreading the gospel and just making sure everyone is prepared for the end of days. In our number 6 spot today we have Yahweh ben Yahweh. Hulon Mitchell Jr., as he was named at birth, was a separatist who created the Nation of Yahweh in 1979 in Liberty City, Florida. He changed his name for his new one, which means God, Son of God, and it is said that perhaps he was intending for this change to show that he is the Son of God, but this is unlikely considering most of his followers actually considered him to be God incarnate. Here's where things really go off the rails though. As if it wasn't already off the rails. He and other members of this cult ended up being convicted of conspiracy for their role in more than a dozen killings. That's so many! He ended up being released on parole in 2001 and he was prohibited from reconnecting with his old congregation. To help enforce this rule, he was restricted from any form of speech by internet, telephone, computer, radio, or television. In our number 5 spot today we have Shoko Asahara. Shoko was previously called Chizu Matsumoto, but after running into some trouble with the law for running an illegal pharmacy, he decided to have a career change and instead turned his focus to religion. In 1987 is when he changed his name to Shoko, and he also founded his own religious cult called the Religion of Truth, and it is said to have been a blend of Christianity, Buddhism, Taoism, and Hindu teachings. He began to claim that the world was going to be destroyed, but that he was actually the savior who would deliver those who were spiritually pure. His following grew, and it is said that at one point there were over 10,000 people following him throughout Japan and a few in Russia as well. Things very quickly took a dark turn, however, when it was revealed that one of his followers had killed a bunch of people by releasing a poisonous gas on a train carriage. It was later found out that Shoko was the mastermind behind this plan, which was intended to topple the government and place him as emperor. Well, the opposite of that happened, as after an 8-year trial, he was sentenced to death. In our number 4 spot today we have Charles Manson. Manson was released from prison in 1967, where he then moved to San Francisco, where he gained a small following that would eventually go on to be the cult known as The Family. The group eventually moved to an abandoned ranch outside of Los Angeles, and it was here that Manson continued to brainwash his followers with his own religious philosophies. He is quoted as saying, "I am God to my friends, I'm the devil to my enemies. When I look to the future, I'm the prophet. When I must lay down the law for our earth, I'm the Son of Man." Manson claimed that there would be an upcoming race war in which white people would be killed, and this was intended to instill fear in his followers. This was so that he could ignite a race war and send his followers on a killing spree, which ended up being the night of the horrible Tate and LaBianca killings. This led to a reign of terror in the Los Angeles area for several months because people just couldn't understand how or why this happened. In our number 3 spot today we have David Koresh. You may also know him as Vernon Howell, but whatever you call him, he sucks. In the 1930s, Lois and Ben Roden, who were the founders of the Branch Davidian sect, believed that a new Messiah would arrive. Shortly after this is when David joined the group and he began to get close to the pair. After Lois passed away, he managed to gain control of the following, and he had changed his name to become the new leader and self-proclaimed Messiah. Under the control of David, allegations of horrible crimes began to come out from the cult, and on February 28, 1993, there was a warrant issued for his arrest. Things escalated and there was a shootout in which 6 members of the group lost their lives, but so did 4 members of the ATF. Over 51 days there were negotiations being made with David while he continued to stall. It is said that this all finally came to an end when the FBI carried out a last mission to take members of the sect by force. This is when the compound they were in was set on fire and 76 members of the Davidians, including David himself, perished. In our number 2 spot today we have Sergey Torop. Sergey is also known as Vizarian, and he is a Russian mystic and leader of the cult Church of the Last Testament. He also claims that in August of 1990, when he was 29 years old, he had a revelation that he was in fact the reincarnation of Jesus Christ, and this led to him starting the cult. How convenient. As the leader of this cult, he is said to teach reincarnation, veganism, and harmonious human relations, predicting the end of the world. This doesn't sound too bad except for that whole being Jesus thing, but here's the kicker. He was arrested in September of 2020 on charges of running an illegal religious organization, as well as for causing physical harm to others and extortion. Also, if you go on his Wikipedia page and look under the personal life section, you'll see some other weird stuff that I can't talk about here, but definitely earned him a spot on today's list, I'll tell you that for sure. In our number 1 spot today we have David Shayler. David is a former MI5 agent and whistleblower, which is already quite a resume, but he is also a self-proclaimed Messiah. How lovely. In 2007, he declared this position, and since then, he and his quote alter ego preach his teachings. This other side of David is a woman, and David claims that this partial identity as a woman gives the Messiah insight into the world from the female perspective. David first made headlines when he leaked secrets to a British newspaper that alleged that the government and MI5 were targeting people who were perceived as socialists. He also made other claims about the 1994 attack on the Israeli embassy and was then charged with breaching the Official Secrets Act, which landed him only 5 weeks in prison. It is clear that he has quite a tumultuous history, and when he first claimed to be the Son of God, he said, quote, "I am the Messiah and hold the secret of eternal life," and then went on to dedicate himself to, quote, "destroying the Zionist empire." While some people close to him have claimed that he is suffering some kind of a breakdown or maybe a mental health crisis, David directly denies this, saying, quote, "I've spent my life telling difficult truths, and now I am in the same situation again. I am the latest reincarnation of the Christ and live a life of unconditional love," he told The Independent in 2009. He even claims that the engraving on the rod of Aaron, which is the staff carried by Moses' brother in the Old Testament, contained an anagram for David Shayler, righteous king. Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thanks so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and I will see you all again very soon. Goodbye.